That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Cocaine Bear, the third film directed by Elizabeth Banks, which is being released courtesy of Universal February 24th, 2023.
What are her other films?
Pitch Perfect 2, which I haven't seen because I really loathed the first Pitch Perfect, and Charlie's Angels, the reboot from 2019, which we did review.
So this is supposed to be inspired by true events, which you can explain. But the basic story is, it's the 80s, and there's this person traveling with a bunch of cocaine, you said like 14 million?
Worth of cocaine
Worth of cocaine. And they end up having to drop off the cocaine from the plane for various reasons. And of course, there are people who want to go and find the cocaine in these woods that they're being dropped into. And there are people in the woods, like, there recreationally. But we see a bear and her cubs come into contact with the cocaine and consume it. And now we have these bears high on cocaine. So the majority of the film, it's like a slasher film where the bears are attacking people. Mm-hmm. The people looking for the drugs, the people camping, whatever. And it ends with kind of how it started, where a new group of people are taking pictures of the bear. Because in the first kill, it's someone taking a picture of the bear, and then the bear charges them. So in the end, we see a new batch of people taking pictures, and we see that the bear sees them, and we can assume that they will continue this rampage. The end. Mm-hmm. So first of all, can you explain, how is this based on true events?
The true events is based on our very minimal, the details that are involved. So, of course, significant liberties were taken with Jimmy Warden's script, and they've crafted, I think, quite an entertaining madcap comedy horror film that is the mix of William Girdler's Grizzly and Day of the Animals mixed with Ted Demme's Blow that I didn't know that I needed. And I highly enjoyed it from start to finish. But I think most of all, Banks gets an excellent ensemble cast together that for something that's actually very funny and strange and disturbing.
Can you name some of the people in it?
Well, first of all, let me finish. The former narcotics officer / drug smuggler that was responsible for dropping this cocaine over the Chattahoochee National Forest in Georgia was named Andrew C. Thornton, and apparently his load was too heavy, so that's why he was going down. And the film explains there's a drug dealer named Sid, played by Ray Liotta in one of his final roles because he recently deceased, that who's in collusion with these Colombian drug runners that are behind the scenes, that are going to want their money for this missing cocaine. Explains that everybody knows that there's this certain area where if there's an emergency situation, they can dump the drugs, and the responsible parties for them know where to go looking, at least. So that's overall the basis of the film. Apparently there was...
That's the true events part.
The true events is just that these drugs, which, as the final credits of the film tell us, were lost and never actually found. So for all anybody knows, all these drugs could really still be out in these woods. But they did find a dead bear at one point at the end of 1985 that was next to some drugs, I guess. But there were never any killings or anything like that anybody knows about. So this is just purely escapist fantasy of a very strange scenario. So as I mentioned, Ray Liotta plays Sid, and his son, who's kind of this loser that has an interesting love life going on in the background, is played by Alden Ehrenreich, Marty, and he is working with Howard, played by O'Shea Jackson, who, of course, is Ice Cube's kid. So they are tasked with going to find these drugs because I think they're in St. Louis, Missouri. Meanwhile, Keri Russell plays this nurse named Colette, and her daughter, Brooklynn Prince, that little girl who gives that Spitfire performance in Sean Baker's The Florida Project, are involved because the daughter skips school with her best friend, this other young boy, to go paint the falls in this national forest. And then, of course, there's an excellent Margot Martindale as the forest ranger who is preparing herself to meet this man that she has a flirtation with, played by Jesse Tyler Ferguson, who's involved with the safety inspection of the park. So she's trying to gussy herself up, getting ready for Jesse Tyler Ferguson.
The gay guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
Who has the worst wig on in this movie. He looks so ridiculous. And meanwhile, also in the background, there's these 3 juvenile delinquents who have been roaming the park and stabbing people and robbing them that call themselves the Duchamps, I believe, who have a run-in with the drug dealers that come to get the drugs. They've already discovered them and hidden them somewhere. And then, of course, the bear's attacking all these people. It actually opens with a pair of foreigners played by Kristofer Hivju of the film Force Majeure, and Hannah Hoekstra, who's a Dutch actress who was in a film called Hemmel I saw a few years ago. And they're instantly killed. She dies right away and is mauled, and you see limbs flying all over the place, and he's stuck in the woods. So basically, oh, and then there's Isiah Whitlock Jr., who is this cop that knows about Sid, and the body of the drug dealer is discovered, so he kind of knows ahead of time that he will have some jurisdiction over there because he knows who's probably going to be there. One of his cohorts, Officer Reba, is also on Sid's... what's the word I'm looking for? Sid's, what's the word I'm looking for? His pay, my mind is blanking. Sid also has her in his back pocket. So all of these parties converge, and there's lots of shots of this bear that clearly is immediately addicted to coke, and it knows by sight these duffel bags and knows that the goods are in them. So there's a lot of fun to be had with that. These paramedics get called, played by Scott Cease, is he that TikToker?
Okay.
And Kahoya Kim, who show up, and they think that they're coming to find somebody that's been concussed, and instead they find this bloody rampage, and this bear on coke is chasing them. There's an excellent chase sequence. There's a lot of people that die that I weren't expecting to. I just think from start to finish it was very entertaining. It was shot by John Gulasterian, who recently shot Candyman, who's worked in many kind of Drake Doremus's original DP. I think it looks great. I think because the importance is also the special effects on the bears, which I think that there were probably some people in bear suits at times, but there's a lot of shots of the mama bear with her face moving and eating and mauling, and I thought that all looked pretty good.
How gruesome is it? It's
pretty gruesome. You see lots of blood and limbs. Ray Liotta gets disemboweled, and the bear cubs are, playing with it. But I think what people will most be entertained by is all the scenes where this bear is really just trying to get herself some coke. So yeah, obviously, probably not a lot of it is logical or makes sense, but I don't know, just a very fun crime drama / horror film comedy caper.
What would you give it?
I would give it 3.5. I was very pleased, especially for a February studio film, which is what you probably wouldn't expect.
Anything else?
No.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.